Elf looked like a simple Christmas comedy, sugar-fueled chaos wrapped in green tights and infectious joy, but Elf wasn't simple. It was engineered chaos, a film built on forced perspective illusions pulled from Lord of the Rings, stop-motion worship borrowed from Rankin Bass, and Will Ferrell eating syrup-soaked spaghetti until he nearly vomited. These are 20 hidden details you completely missed in Elf. Number 1. The baby version of Buddy is played by triplets. The opening scene required precision that no single infant could deliver. When baby Buddy crawls into Santa's oversized gift sack, 3 different babies were used across multiple takes. Each one brought a specific skill the production desperately needed. One baby cried on cue, tears streaming right when the camera needed vulnerability. Another crawled with surprising speed and coordination, making the journey into the bag feel natural instead of staged. The third had mastered the art of grabbing objects, tiny fingers wrapping around props with just enough grip to sell the moment. So the crew rotated them based on what each scene demanded, stitching together a composite baby Buddy from 3 separate little actors. But behind the warmth and wonder of that opening moment lived pure logistical choreography, 3 children performing one impossible role. Number 2, Buddy's size is 100% practical illusion. Not a single frame of CGI was used to make Will Ferrell look giant among the elves. Every oversized moment relied on forced perspective, the same technique director Peter Jackson perfected in Lord of the Rings just 2 years earlier. Director Jon Favreau studied those films obsessively, learning how to manipulate depth and scale without digital assistance. Props were built at 2 completely different scales, giant versions for Buddy and miniature versions for the elves. Actors often sat 6 to 8 feet apart from each other during scenes that appeared to show them side by side. Ferrell would interact with enormous tables and chairs, while his elf co-stars worked with furniture sized for children. The technique required absolute control over every element of the frame, but it gave Buddy's world a tangible physical reality that CGI could never replicate. Number 3, the shower scene changed the movie. Actress Zooey Deschanel's shower singing wasn't in the original script. The scene was added after Favreau learned she was a trained vocalist with genuine musical talent. Her performance of Baby It's Cold Outside shifted the entire tone of Buddy and Jovi's relationship, giving it emotional weight instead of just comedy. That one improvised moment reshaped Jovi's character arc, transforming her from a cynical love interest into someone capable of genuine vulnerability. The scene works because Deschanel's voice is beautiful, and the moment feels intimate rather than manufactured. Buddy's reaction, listening outside the door with pure wonder, captures the film's emotional core better than any scripted dialogue could, and it established singing as a motif that pays off in the climax when Jovi leads the crowd in Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Number 4, Buddy isn't just energetic. In several shots throughout the film, Ferrell moves slightly faster than everyone else around him because the crew shot certain scenes at 22 frames per second instead of the standard 24. When played back at normal speed, Buddy's movements gained a subtle acceleration that gave him an otherworldly quality. It's the same technique used in silent comedies and early stop-motion Christmas specials. The effect is barely perceptible on first viewing, but it registers subconsciously, making Buddy feel like he operates according to different physical laws than the humans around him. His gestures are too quick, his reactions too immediate, his entire presence slightly out of sync with reality. The speed variance creates a magical quality without relying on visual effects or fantasy elements. And because it's inconsistent, appearing only in specific scenes, it keeps viewers slightly off balance. Number 5, Buddy's Jack-in-the-Box fear was real. The crew rigged each Jack-in-the-Box to pop at completely random delays, ensuring Will Ferrell had no idea when the spring-loaded clowns would explode out of their containers. Every flinch, eye twitch, and frustrated sigh captured on camera was genuine reaction, not calculated performance. Favreau kept the take specifically because Ferrell looked like a man being psychologically broken by children's toys. Ferrell would approach each box with visible dread, knowing something was coming but unable to predict when. The fear became cumulative across multiple takes, building into genuine anxiety that bled into his performance throughout the entire workshop sequence. By the end of the day, Ferrell admitted he'd developed a real aversion to the props, but that discomfort translated into comedy gold because the audience could sense something authentic beneath the slapstick. Number 6, the skating rink scene was shot at midnight. To avoid crowds and get the location for a reasonable price, production filmed the entire Central Park skating sequence after the rink closed for the night. Ferrell was exhausted, cold, and slightly delirious from the late hours and physical demands of the shoot, but that delirium made Buddy's goofy movements unintentionally perfect. The stumbling, off-balance skating that looks like character choice was partly genuine fatigue. Ferrell's coordination was compromised by cold and exhaustion, creating authentic clumsiness that amplified the comedy. Between takes, Ferrell would huddle near portable heaters, trying to maintain enough energy to keep performing. The physical discomfort shows in subtle ways throughout the sequence, adding layers of reality to what could have been a simple comedic set piece. Number 7. Will Ferrell almost wasn't Elf. New Line originally wanted a bigger, more traditional leading man for the role of Buddy. Before Will Ferrell was cast, the studio wrote and wanted to release Elf in the mid-90s, considering actors Jim Carrey, Chris Farley, and even Michael Keaton for the lead role. Executives thought Ferrell was too unpredictable and too closely tied to Saturday Night Live to carry a family holiday film, but Jon Favreau fought for him relentlessly, insisting Ferrell was the only actor who could make Buddy innocent instead of irritating. Ferrell had something none of them possessed: genuine childlike wonder without irony or calculation. He could play naive without seeming stupid, enthusiastic without being annoying. Favreau recognized that rare quality and refused to compromise. The studio eventually relented, giving Ferrell the role that would define his career and become his most beloved performance. Number 8. Will Ferrell got sick filming the candy spaghetti scene. Ferrell ate the full syrup-covered spaghetti plate during every single take, and the massive sugar overload made him physically nauseous between shots. The grimace visible after his first bite wasn't acting. It was a survival instinct fighting against the overwhelming sweetness coating his mouth and throat. The pasta was real, cooked specifically for the scene. The toppings were authentic candy, crushed and sprinkled across the plate, and the syrup was actual maple syrup, not a prop substitute. By the third take, Ferrell was visibly struggling, his enthusiasm dimming as his blood sugar spiked and his stomach rebelled. The plate contained spaghetti topped with candy corn, chocolate syrup, marshmallows, and Pop-Tarts, a combination designed to look absurd on screen but genuinely difficult to consume in reality. Number 9. Miles Finch has the same color palette as a gremlin. Favreau intentionally styled Peter Dinklage's outfit with sharp blacks and grays, creating a visual contrast against Buddy's bright greens and yellows. Miles Finch is the anti-elf, dressed in colors that represent corporate cynicism and creative exhaustion. His wardrobe mirrors the aesthetic of villains in classic Christmas specials, similar to the monsters in the movie Gremlins. The color scheme wasn't accidental. Every element of Finch's appearance was designed to clash with Buddy's world, emphasizing the collision between innocence and experience, joy and bitterness, childlike wonder and adult disillusionment. Even his briefcase is severe black leather, a stark contrast to the colorful chaos Buddy carries everywhere. The visual language speaks volumes, and when the confrontation finally happens, the color clash amplifies the tension, two opposing worldviews dressed in opposing palettes. Number 10. Most of Buddy's scenes were improvised. Will Ferrell improvised so many scenes and reactions that the crew often struggled to maintain continuity between takes. Entire sequences like Buddy tasting cotton balls, talking to animals, and rambling through department store conversations were created on the spot without scripted dialogue. Favreau encouraged the freedom, knowing Ferrell's instincts would generate comedy that no writer could predict. Half the time, the other actors had no idea what Ferrell was about to do next. Their reactions carry authentic surprise because they were responding to improvisation in real time. Zooey Deschanel later said some of her best moments came from simply reacting to whatever Ferrell decided to try. The script provided structure and key plot points, but Ferrell filled the spaces between with inspired madness. Number 11. Buddy's exploring used real New Yorkers. Most of Buddy's wide-eyed New York moments weren't filmed with extras hired for background work. They used real people who had no idea they were being filmed for a major motion picture. When Buddy hugs strangers, runs through crosswalks, yells about Santa, or mistakes a random street performer for the real deal, those reactions are genuine confusion from actual New Yorkers going about their day. The production secured permits for guerrilla-style filming in specific locations, allowing Ferrell to interact with the city organically. Hidden cameras captured the moments from multiple angles, while Ferrell, dressed in full elf costume, created chaos on crowded sidewalks. Others stopped, stared, laughed, or shouted responses that made it into the final cut. New York became a character in the film because its real personality bled through every frame. Number 12. The Greenway Press office layout forms a giant Christmas tree. The desks angle outward like branches spreading from a central trunk, with the boss's glass office forming the star at the top of the structure. You'd never notice unless you saw the overhead blueprint, but the entire floor plan was designed as a hidden Christmas symbol. Production designer Rusty Smith built the set with deliberate geometry, creating a workspace that functioned practically while encoding holiday imagery into its architecture. The color scheme reinforces the effect, with green carpeting and accent walls providing the tree's body, while yellow lighting around the executive office creates the star's glow. The set doesn't announce its symbolism. It just exists as another layer of holiday magic woven into the story's fabric. Number 13, Buddy's costume never changes. The entire wardrobe department built multiple variations of Buddy's outfit, creating versions with different cuts, fabrics, and color saturations for different scenes and lighting conditions. But Favreau rejected all the variations and forced them to scrap everything that deviated from the original design. He insisted the costume stay identical to the elf outfits from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, maintaining perfect visual consistency with the Rankin Bass aesthetic. Buddy wears the exact same outfit from the North Pole to New York to the final scene, never changing or adapting his appearance despite everything he experiences. The consistency was intentional, reinforcing that Buddy doesn't transform externally. His journey is internal, emotional, invisible to the eye. It's character design as a thematic statement, showing that authenticity doesn't require adaptation. Number 14, the snowball scene was 100% real. The iconic snowball fight wasn't staged with soft prop snow or carefully choreographed throws. Will Ferrell actually hurled real, hard-packed snowballs directly at the child actors with full force. Their reactions, panicked dodges, and surprise screams were completely genuine, captured exactly as they happened without retakes or safety modifications. Favreau wanted authentic chaos, and he got it by creating real danger. The kids didn't know when Ferrell would throw or where the snowballs would land. They had to react defensively, protecting themselves from actual projectiles coming at unpredictable angles. Other throws missed entirely, sailing past ducking children who screamed with genuine fear. No amount of acting could replicate the specific terror of being pelted with ice by a grown man in an elf costume. Number 15, Will Ferrell performed most of his own stunts. From getting hit by a car to falling off tables to crashing through Christmas displays, Ferrell insisted on taking the physical punishment himself. He only refused one stunt during the entire production, diving face first into a pile of Lego bricks. That particular gag required a stunt double because Ferrell recognized the genuine injury potential. Everything else, he did personally. The commitment added authenticity to Buddy's physical comedy because the impacts, falls, and collisions were real. The taxi collision was carefully choreographed, but still involved Ferrell being struck by a moving vehicle with enough force to knock him backward. The department store escalator tumble sent him rolling down actual moving stairs. His willingness to endure physical comedy elevated the film beyond typical slapstick into something more committed and slightly reckless. Number 16, the crowd in Central Park is almost completely fake. The massive crowd cheering Santa's sleigh at the climax looks like thousands of people packed into Central Park for a Christmas miracle, but almost none of them were actually there during filming. Due to permit restrictions, weather complications, and holiday scheduling conflicts, production only had a tiny group of background actors available for the sequence. The rest of the crowd was digitally duplicated again and again, copying the same few hundred people across different positions to create the illusion of a packed park. Visual effects artists cloned extras, altered their clothing colors digitally, and scattered them throughout the frame to build density. The same people appear multiple times in different positions, their digital ghosts scattered across the crowd like Christmas spirits multiplied by belief. Number 17, the Central Park Rangers are a parody of the Nazgul. Their dark cloaks, mounted horses, and menacing chase framing deliberately mimic the ring wraiths from The Lord of the Rings. Favreau confirmed the joke in later interviews, explaining he wanted the Rangers shot like villainous wraiths pursuing the heroes through a dark forest. It's a visual gag built into the cinematography and staging, but the way they're filmed transforms them into something ominous and supernatural. Low camera angles emphasize their height, shadowy lighting obscures their faces, the horses move with slow, deliberate menace. The sequence plays like a fantasy film's darkest moment, complete with dramatic music and urgent editing. Then it undercuts the tension by revealing they're just trying to enforce park regulations. The parody works because it's committed enough to feel genuinely tense before the comedy lands. Number 18, Buddy's Etch-a-Sketch messages were drawn by a prop artist. Ferrell didn't draw a single line on those elaborate Etch-a-Sketch creations seen throughout the film. A professional artist spent hours shaking and etching each detailed image, then carefully transported the finished product to set without disturbing the delicate aluminum powder patterns. The artist had to recreate the same designs multiple times for different takes, resetting the screen and starting over whenever a shot needed to be repeated. One wrong shake or tilt would destroy hours of work. The messages Buddy leaves, elaborately decorated with Christmas imagery and heartfelt words, represent genuine artistic skill disguised as a simple sight gag, but they're entirely practical hand-drawn creations that exist physically on set, another example of the film choosing the harder path to achieve authentic magic. Number 19, the sleigh crash used an old airplane flight simulator. The crew couldn't afford extensive CGI for the entire sleigh sequence, so they improvised with practical effects and repurposed technology. They reused flight simulator machinery from a retired studio rig, mounting the sleigh interior onto hydraulic platforms that could tilt, shake, and drop with violent precision. When the sleigh jolts and crashes through the park, the actors really felt every impact. The machinery delivered genuine physical chaos, throwing the performers around the cramped interior while cameras captured their authentic reactions. No amount of acting can replicate the specific body language of someone experiencing real G-forces and sudden directional changes. The simulator provided that authenticity, creating visceral comedy from actual physical distress. The technology was outdated compared to modern motion capture systems, but it delivered exactly what the scene needed with brutal efficiency. Number 20. The ending scene invisibly mirrors the opening. Buddy walking with his new family through snowy streets echoes Papa Elf walking with baby Buddy in the North Pole opening sequence. Same camera angle, same gentle lighting, same deliberate pacing. The visual rhyme completes Buddy's journey by showing he's finally found his place in the world. The symmetry isn't announced or emphasized, it just exists for viewers paying attention to the film's visual language. Both scenes feature a parental figure guiding a child through a winter landscape, establishing safety and belonging through simple physical proximity. The opening showed Buddy being welcomed into an adoptive family that couldn't quite fit him. The ending shows him creating a new family where he belongs completely. The circularity gives the story satisfying closure while reinforcing the theme that family is defined by love rather than biology or circumstance. Elf might look like a simple Christmas comedy wrapped in bright colors and innocent humor, but it hides practical illusions that required mathematical precision, improvisation chaos that redefined entire character arcs, and tiny visual clues that revealed just how meticulously Jon Favreau crafted every frame. Which fact surprised you the most, and what holiday classic should we break down next? Because sometimes the best Christmas movies aren't the ones that feel effortless. They're the ones that worked hardest to make the magic look real.